Real quick before I get started today, I want to let you all know that I'm planning on having a Q&A video on the channel real soon. So if you guys have any questions or comments about me or about the channel, put them in the comments below and they'll be featured in the upcoming video. I know I mentioned this in my last video, but I just want to get to and answer as many questions and comments as possible because I'm grateful for all the support you guys have given me over the past couple months, and I just want to return the favor. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. J. Cole has been in the rap game for nearly 2 decades, and he's widely regarded as one of the top 3 rappers of his entire generation. And with his mixtape catalog coming to streaming, I figured it would be a great time to rank his entire discography. You all know the drill by now, from first to last, and the best and worst songs on each album. Here's J. Cole's entire catalog ranked. Serving as J. Cole's debut project, The Come Up isn't necessarily bad by any means, but it's in the name itself. This is J. Cole's Come Up. He was just starting out, and although that's sort of evident on this mixtape, throughout the project there are flashes of the potential that J. Cole would shine throughout his career. The narration from Cole on this album is pretty cool though. It's unique and it's something you don't see on modern day albums a whole lot. The best song on this album is School Days. Man, the first time I listened to this song, it brought me back. It made me feel like I was back in my senior year of high school. Some great storytelling from Cole that really gets you in a reminiscing mood. The worst song on this album is I'm the Man. It's fine, but in my opinion, Cole doesn't really do the original song or its message any justice here. If you're gonna rap over a legend song like Nas's, you gotta go hard, just like he did with Illmatic and Dead Presidents 2, and I just don't think he did that here. It's just okay. The surprise album that's supposed to hold fans over before the fall off, the highs on this project are really high, but it plummets off a cliff when you get to the lows. It did get Grammy nominated though, so that's something. The best song on this album is Ready 24. I rarely hear this song get talked about at all, and I just really don't understand. Fantastic soulful production, a good performance from Cole, a great showing of lyricism, and a good guest verse. This song isn't really missing much. It's fantastic. The worst song on this album is 7 Minute Drill. I was really considering putting Fever here because what the fuck was that, Jermaine? But 7 Minute Drill has to go in this spot. Over the past few years, Cole has been giving us constant bars about how he's the greatest rapper alive and he would smoke anyone in a rap battle, and the opportunity arose and he kind of blew it. Now, I fully believe that Cole could compete with either Drake or Kendrick in a rap battle, but his heart really wasn't in this one, and seeing the twists and turns that this beef took, I don't really blame him. But when you remove a song from your album and it doesn't have to do with sample clearances, it's hard for me not to take notice. Also, for someone who's been made fun of in the past for allegedly making boring music, it was so funny for him to say that To Pimp a Butterfly put people to sleep. J. Cole's debut album is honestly not that special to me. It has its highs here and there, but for someone who went on an absolute tear with their mixtape run, the Sideline Story just doesn't really do it for me. I mean, this album does have the song that let Nas down, so he's never gonna live down that one. It showcases potential, but when compared to the rest of the albums in his discography, the Sideline Story just doesn't stack up. The best song on this album is Lost Ones. I really love the message and narrative Cole brings with this song. You can tell that this track goes beyond just storytelling. Cole really gives you his honest and passionate opinion about the subjects he's mentioning in this song. And I can agree with his disappointment in Deadbeat Dads. We don't need all that. We're good. We don't need that. The worst song on this album is Mr. Nice Watch. When I listened to this song for the first time, it genuinely shocked me with how fucking awful it is. When I saw that this song was featuring Jay-Z, I thought it would be an impressive song. Of course, you would save the Hove feature for one of your best songs, right? Everything from that fucking dubstep beat to the bars are awful. The chorus is counterintuitive. Cole starts by saying, "Time is not money, and if I were to go broke, then time is the only thing that I have left." Then he goes,
Hey yo, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Hello, Mr. Nice Watch.
like, shut the fuck up, please. This is a deep and emotional album. The title itself has 3 different meanings, as Cole referenced them as Kids on Drugs, Kill Our Demons, and King Overdosed. From infidelity and struggles with monogamy to alcoholism and the effects of addiction, this album has it all, and it actually sold really well for an album with such heavy subject matter. The best song on this album is Brackets. Besides the long-ass intro, which I guess kind of adds to the song, this track is perfect in my eyes. I really like the direction that Cole went with this song, and the concept of exploring the tax brackets in the tax system and how it affects underprivileged communities and they get ignored by their so-called leaders of the free world was executed really well. The worst song on this album is the intro. I know this is just an intro, and it's kind of dumb to put an intro as the worst song on an album, especially when it's really not even a song, it's an intro, but I'm just not a big fan of this one in general, and this is my list, so I felt like placing it here, so... Now, this is an album that Cole himself really had a lot of faith in. Born Sinner began work on actually 1 week after the release of the Sideline Story. And with Cole changing the release date of this album to directly compete with Kanye West's Yeezus, he really bet on himself. With classic records and amazing features, this album has stood the test of time. The best song on this album is Runaway. I always had a soft spot for this track. Maybe it's because the content matter of the song actually reflects the title of this album, Born Sinner, but this track is just really good. The worst song on this album is New York Times. Not a bad song by any means, it's just kinda okay. The 50 Cent hook is kinda mediocre, and when compared to the rest of the album, it's just mid. Honestly, sometimes I feel like Cole just made this album to prove that he's still on the top of his game, and with a track list that's only 12 songs, we really don't get any filler here. We just get straight bars. The best song on this album is Amari. I just love this song, from the beat to the flow to that Westbrook bar. Everything about this song is just fire, and if you haven't listened already, do yourself a favor and check it out. The worst song on this album is Punching the Clock. When this album first came out, I actually thought this song was pretty good, but over the course of time, my opinion has kind of changed. I don't even know, the bars just don't really hit for me. Now, this might just be me, but I'm really just not a fan. A classic Cole mixtape. I don't know how many times I've hopped on my timeline and seen praise for this one. There's really not much to be said here. It's Friday Night Lights. The best song on this album is Blow Up. A classic case of believing in yourself. I just love the overall message and theme of this track. It's just a banger, plain and simple. The worst song on this album is Best Friend. Just kinda meh. I'm not a huge fan of the production, and on a 20-track mixtape, you're gonna find some duds here and there, and this is one of them. Now, this was the album that put J. Cole on the map permanently. I know he was mainstream before this, but this was the project that got all of us to realize Cole World is here to stay. This album is a classic that features some of the most classic J. Cole tracks in his entire discography. When people think J. Cole, they think of this album. The best song on this album is Wet Dreams. I mean, this is probably mostly nostalgia, but I just love this track. Cole knew he had a banger with this one, as Wet Dreams was actually made during sessions for the Come Up, but he saved the song for 7 years. A great example of storytelling over a fire beat. It might not have the deepest subject matter of all time, but it's still a great song. The worst song on this album is Hello. This song sort of drags out a lot during the middle part of the track. I'm just not a huge fan of it, so I really just skip it whenever I listen to this album. I'm sorry. There's just something about this mixtape, man. Ever since it's been put on streaming, I just can't stop listening. This project has the hunger of a young Cole trying to make his way into the hip-hop scene with the quality and touch that we would see in Cole's later years. So many good tracks that blend really well together, which creates cohesion throughout the project. The best song on this album is Dead Presidents 2. This song just encapsulates the hunger and fire Cole had in his earlier years. Just give a listen to the introduction that Cole gives to this. And he delivered here. The showcase of lyricism behind that absolutely amazing beat makes this one of my favorite tracks in J. Cole's entire discography. I genuinely couldn't pick a worse song for this section of the video. I'd listened to this track list from start to finish so many times, and every song speaks to me. I can't really pick one out, so I just put none for this section. This album is a masterpiece in storytelling. I had no idea that this entire album encapsulated one gigantic story until the last track, so when I found out, I had to re-listen to see if I missed anything. Also, I just had to say it, I do not understand the hate that Folding Clothes gets. That is a decent song that just brings good vibes. I do not get the hate for this one. But overall, this album feels like one of, if not the most concise and mature listens in Cole's entire catalog. The best song on this album is For Your Eyes Only. This is the track that ties the entire album together. There's really not more I can add to the discussion of this track rather than, if you haven't already listened, do yourself a favor. The worst song on this album is Deja Vu. Look, I'm really sorry because this is like the most popular song in this entire album, so I know I'm gonna get hate for this one, but this song doesn't click for me. I don't think it's a bad song, but out of all the tracks on this short album, this is the one that just really doesn't click for me. I'm sorry, but this is the one for me. Let me know how you would rank J. Cole's albums in the comments down below, and also let me know what you would fix about my rankings, because everyone has different opinions for different reasons. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this. It's greatly appreciated. Whether you're just watching, you leave a like, give a comment, it's all greatly appreciated. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I have a link in my description, pretty active on there, and with all that said, I'll see you on the flip side.